For me, it feels so good to be in spiritual community this morning because we have been in a challenging time with this pandemic going on. There are many experiencing hardships, loss of employment, uncertainty about the future, financial insecurity. We're working from home and we're trying to teach our children online at the same time. There are just a lot of conflicts going on right now. Just when you think you know what is the truth or the pattern, it all changes. So for me, it feels very grounding to be here, and I think I'm about to lose my earpiece here. And so I have the sense that we're all just a little bit off right now. Anybody else agree with me? We're just a little bit off. So this is the time for me when I know that my inner light may be a little bit dim, and I need other people around me. One of the things that I have learned during this time is what is really important to me. And for me, one of the things is family, both my blood family and my chosen family. And thank you. Some of my chosen family came here for the first time today to support me, so I'm really happy about that. But I'm an introvert, but I have found that I need that connection. Without it, my life just doesn't feel as meaningful. So one of my core spiritual beliefs, and Reverend Lane has taught us this, is that nothing happens in God's world by mistake. And I also believe that the universe and God is for me, never against me. But during this turmoil, I've had to recenter myself several times to remember this truth, that my inner light fuels me, and I need to make sure that I'm taking care of it daily in spiritual practice. And this inner light that I'm talking about isn't just in me, it is in everyone worldwide. So I've had to stop labeling this pandemic good or bad and just allow whatever feelings come up for me in the moment to just be what they are. And knowing that when I recenter myself, my comfort level with what is right now returns. Dr. Albert Schweitzer has said, sometimes our light goes out, but is blown again into an instant flame by an encounter with another human being. Each of us owes the deepest thanks to those who have rekindled this inner light. What I know for sure is that when my heart and my mind are open, God speaks through other people. I just love it when I hear something I needed to hear, something that really resonates with me, and I can say or think, thank you, God, I got it. I know that was just for me. So I know that each of us is here for a reason today, and being in spiritual community just feels good. So pat yourself on the back and congratulate yourself for making the effort to get up and get dressed and come today. You know what, a time like this of isolation, the pandemic, has given us an opportunity to use the principles that we have learned here, or to learn new spiritual principles if we're struggling, and to add things to what we do on a daily basis. Because we want to keep moving forward. Forward growth is what we're looking for. So a lighthearted thought came across my computer the other day. Every thought is a seed. That's the important part. Every thought is a seed. If you plant crab apples, don't count on harvesting golden delicious. So when I catch myself planting those crab apple seeds, when I go into negative thinking or fear-based thinking, I know I have an opportunity to change my thinking. What do we learn here? Change your thinking, change your life, right? So I'd like to tell you a story. It's in 1957 in Thailand, and there was a large statue of a clay Buddha. in a remote village, and it was worshipped by the townspeople and by a monastery of monks who lived nearby. This was their prized possession. The monks cared for this big statue of the clay Buddha. They cared for it all the time because it was so important to their worship. And one day they heard that a new road was being built through their area, and they were delighted because it would bring increased prosperity to the area. Until they heard that the road was going right through the path where the clay Buddha sat. So the monks were so dismayed, but they got their best minds together with the best minds in the town people, and they developed a plan to move the statue, to move the clay Buddha, and they built enormous bamboo scaffolding up around it. It was all tied together with jungle vines and twine, and they began to move it. They slipped rollers under it on moving day, and inch by inch by inch, they were moving this prized clay statue. They hadn't gone very far when they heard a loud crack, and the clay Buddha had cracked. And just then it started pouring rain. The monsoon rains came to Thailand, and it was pouring. Worst case scenario. So the monks quickly covered up their statue with the crack in it, with tarps, weighing them down with stones from the jungle and pieces of bamboo. And they walked slowly back to the monastery. They had failed. They were so discouraged. So I invite you to think back to a time in your life when your plans did not work out. When something that felt disastrous occurred and you felt like the rug had been pulled out from under you. Have you ever made extensive plans, maybe at work, months working on a project? Or perhaps at home, a remodeling project or redecorating, and you had a binder full of clippings. You knew just what your new home was going to look like. Or maybe you were planning an exciting vacation, and every stop was carefully planned. When life threw you a curveball. Maybe you lost your job or got laid off. Maybe you had relationship issues and were thinking about a divorce. Maybe you got a diagnosis you didn't want. Maybe the stock market took a dip. Or maybe there was a global pandemic. Just when you thought you had everything under control, it changed. I know I've had many times in my life like that, and I think we all have. And what I have learned is that pain happens, but suffering from it is optional. Because we have a choice about the thoughts that we think. Ernest Holmes, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of the Science of Mind philosophy that we study here, has said this. We cannot live a choiceless life. Every day, every moment, every second, there is a choice. We have the right to choose what we wish to experience. So when we're experiencing the pain of everything changing, we get to choose a new thought. The philosophy that we teach here is called, guess what? New Thought. And it started in the late 19th century in the United States with a focus on individual unification with a higher power, with God, or perhaps more accurately, an inner power. The unification is not something that we have to work hard and struggle to make it happen. It's something we strive for and work to recognize. Because we are already one with God and one with each other. And no matter how much we've messed up in our lives, we are still one with God. Our daily work is to remember that and to use it in our lives every day, every day. We all have that built-in longing for wholeness, which can only be met by the realization and the acceptance that we are already whole. This is who we are. We thirst for God, for that sense of belonging and completeness and grace which reveals the unity of all life, when in fact we're already an expression of that unity. In our teaching, we're careful to be mindful that we are not united with the God up in the sky, the one that frowns a lot, the one that I knew in my childhood, but we are surrendering to our own divine life, to that wisdom that is always present when we accept our oneness with Spirit. To eliminate that feeling of separation, and some people call it separation thinking, we need to plug in. What if we compare our spiritual power with electrical power? When we're plugged in, everything works. The lights come on. Life is good. In fact, it's wonderful. When we unplug, the hair dryer doesn't work, the coffee pot doesn't work, and our lives just don't work. The lights don't come on, and it can be very, very dark. The electricity or the spiritual power didn't go away. It was always the same. Only our awareness of it, our use of it changed. We need to make the choice to plug in and stay plugged in. You may even feel like a cracked Buddha right now. But when we have cracks, we don't pray to cover them up or do spiritual mind treatments to cover them up, because this is the time when life, the universe, is in conversation with us. Life is a movement towards wholeness, and God's will is for us to be whole, to be who we truly are, and to let our true colors shine through. Thank you, Derek. We are each unique, and we're not an accident. We are here to shine our special and unique light in this world. But let me go back. The Buddhist monks had faced failure. Their carefully laid plans had not worked out. They were filled with shame, they were frustrated, they were frightened, and the rain continued. The head monk didn't sleep at all that night, and as the rain lessened near morning, he got up and got a flashlight and walked down to where they had left their prized clay Buddha. And he pulled back the tarps and he shined his flashlight on the clay Buddha. And off on one side he saw a slight glimmer that was different from the clay. So he headed back to the monastery to get some tools to check out what this was. Now, when I see a crack in my life, I think something has gone wrong. But it's really in that crack that my prayer is being answered. My faith is growing stronger. The crack is not wrong. There's nothing to fix because I'm not broken. You're not broken. At Center for Spiritual Living, we are here in community to support our spiritual growth, our own healing, to have fun, and to remember to not plant seeds of crab apples. There was a time about 12 years ago when my life had cracks in it, and they were physical cracks. I had chronic diverticulitis for years. I had been very, very sick. I'd lost 30 or 35 pounds. I had surgery, spent a week in the hospital, nothing by mouth, and I was very weak and debilitated when I came home. One of my practitioner sisters that I had studied with many years before came to help take care of me, and she worked with me on what I wanted in my life. And I did not want to be in pain anymore. I did not want to keep having these attacks and having to change my plans. I did not want to live on antibiotics. I knew what I didn't want. I knew what I didn't want, but I couldn't come up with what I wanted. So we worked together. And I began to visualize myself, and I was walking down Bayshore Boulevard. I had a bounce in my step. I had on cute shorts, and I was saying, I am healthy, I am fit, I am vital. I am healthy, I am fit, I am vital. And so as I lay in bed, weak as a puppy, that was the picture I had in my mind of a healthy me walking down Bayshore Boulevard, feeling great, enjoying the sunshine. So on the day the surgeon told me that I could do anything I felt like doing, I was delighted. And the next day I got up, put on my tennis shoes. I live in a high-rise, took the elevator down, went through the lobby, walked through the parking lot to the start of the sidewalk on Bayshore. And I was exhausted. And I stood there, and I had to rest before I had the energy to turn around and go back in and go back to bed. The second day, I got up, I put on my tennis shoes, took the elevator down, walked through the lobby, went through the parking lot, got to the sidewalk, and I was still really tired. And I thought, I'm going to walk 10 feet further today than I did yesterday. So I walked 10 feet further, came back, went upstairs, went back to bed. And I did this every single day. And my goal was to walk 10 feet further than I had walked the day before. Some days I couldn't go 10 feet further, and some days I could go farther than that. So I did whatever I could. And at the end of 6 or 7 weeks, when I was thinking about going back to work, I was walking 3 miles down Bayshore. I had a bounce in my step, and I was healthy, fit, and vital. So whatever change you may want to make in your life, we do the work in our minds first. It's not just enough to say the words that we want to change. We visualize it, we carry it with us, we think about it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And then we take any action we can take to move us in that direction. Now I know God prepares our path, and it was God that gave me the energy and the thought to walk 10 feet further, but I had to take the action to do that. So that's how we make changes, to move in the direction of our desires. We work on our minds, and then we take whatever action that we can take. So let me go back to that clay Buddha. The head monk went back to the monastery. He woke the other monks up. He told them to get all the tools he thought they might need. So they were carrying ropes and hammers and chisels. And they began chipping away where they saw the crack in this Buddha. And after a day of hard labor, the monks stood back, and it was hot in that jungle in Thailand, and before them was an enormous solid gold Buddha. Historians believe that several hundred years ago, the Burmese army had been preparing to invade Siam. The monks knew the country was going to be attacked, and so to prevent their prized golden Buddha from being looted and carried away, they covered it with a thick layer of clay. The monks were killed in that invasion. Centuries passed until that fateful day in 1957 when the secret was uncovered. Now, this is a true story, but it's such a metaphor for our lives. We are born pure, and we shine with light. As time moves on, our golden nature begins to tarnish and to be hidden. Our childhoods, our parents, our teachers, bullies, unspoken shame, bad choices we make in our life. Life happens. And we forget that we are pure gold. We forget that we always have the power of choice in our thinking. And our divine presence is covered up. But there is a golden divinity within you And God, life, wants to tell you of your own wholeness and perfection. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. The cracks in your life, allow that divine light within you to grow brighter, merging with the light from others, and your golden nature begins to shine through. Our job is to let our light shine. You are whole, perfect, and always enough. This is the truth in my life, and I know it's the truth in yours. Namaste.